welcome back to the existing channel where I kinda just exist. This time we're gonna be going back over my Game Boy collection with some new additions. Because the other video where I went back over the Xbox 360 collection did okay, though I'm pretty sure someone unsubscribed, which, fair enough, this channel, I could see them thinking it being dead, which, it's not like it's alive, but it's not dead, I think. Right. Anyways, first up we got the Game Boy. Not much to look at here. Just, standard BA affair. Start, select. Normal D-pad, but it's kind of cushiony, which I like. And then on the back you have the Nintendo support number and some more information, such as the model number and the trademark. The cartridge slot, and it used to have a protector for the link cable, but it fell out once, and then I cleaned the room and I couldn't find it, so I think it might have gotten thrown away or it's just lost somewhere. Other than that, it has a screen with no backlight. If you turn it on, you get that, where it's usually the Nintendo logo. But it's pretty standard stuff for such an old console, except most of them had backlights and color screens, but you know. We have the Game Boy Advance. Ooh, reflection. It has some new additions, such as the shoulder buttons, and mine has a broken battery slot, so I had to improvise with some tape. I accidentally scratched the screen. I don't know if you can see it though. I was using a screwdriver to clean it, and I fucked it up. This time the B and A buttons are not marked with writing, they just have imprints of B and A, which you might not be able to see on the camera, but there, B and A. And start and select, this time are marked, but it's marked in the plastic right next to them. And the D-pad is also very squishy, but it's a lot smaller than the Game Boy D-pad, which you can see here. Here I have the Blue Glacier model, which is really comfortable and just melts into your fucking hand. And on the back you have the slot, which can play both Game Boy Advance as well as Game Boy games. And you can change the aspect ratio with the shoulder buttons when playing Game Boy games. Squish them right back to size, or you can play them like a freak. I mean widescreen. In widescreen. Going through these alphabetically this time, we have Dr. Mario up first, which you can already right off the bat see there's a little bit of a problem with. I actually got this with my Game Boy Advance. It was sitting in my grandma's basement for who knows how long, I'm guessing since the Game Boy Advance released. And it actually played first try when I put it in, so it was obvious she did play it from at least time to time and kept it relatively clean. Or maybe the Game Boy Advance is just Chad and plays it immediately. Well, how about that? It actually didn't work first try this time. I swear it usually does. I don't know what the problem is. I even went back and cleaned it just to make sure. Didn't get much stuff on it. Which now, another good time to point out that you can do that. I also like the music of this game more than I do like Tetris. So, take that how you will. Now we're doing GTA again, except this time I get to directly compare it between the Game Boy Advance and the Game Boy. And I actually had to move a light to make this look a bit better, but now it's pretty clear to see. I guess I should probably mention I rearranged a lot of things in my room, so it's very different from the last time anyone got a good glance at it. Now I have 3 save files. We have Dan, Dan 2, and Dan 3, which we're going to be playing on. No need to look at that. And with this, you can already kind of see it's a bit slow, and the graphics definitely aren't pretty. And if you look at the cars, they're also very slow. Granted, the slowness actually makes this pretty playable. And the select button is right down here, so it's pretty comfortable to shift from here just to here to hijack a car. But in the Game Boy Advance, which I'm going to show you right now, the game is actually a fair bit faster. You walk at a comfortable speed and the cars are a bit fast. But how fast they are actually kind of makes the game a bit unplayable. Now I can barely see what I'm doing. I don't know where I'm driving. This is too fast to make turns very easily. I just crash into a wall. It's something you can get used to, but it's just a bit uncomfortable when you compare it to how it is on the Game Boy. If the Game Boy was in color and not this fast, the game might actually be half decent, and if you would take away the glitchiness, you'd have a decent port of GTA for such a low power system. Next, James Bond 007, which I believe is in a black and white color scheme. Usually I just re-record that, but screw it. It would appear I need to clean my cartridge. That's not great. I'm going to show you how to clean it now, I guess. And just take a Q-tip, usually with isopropyl alcohol, but I don't think it's really dirty enough to warrant that. And just go fucking hog wild with a Q-tip. And you can see we got some stuff off. Now let's give it a shot. Yeah, it might need some more cleaning. I'll be right back. Now it's working. I hope this is entertaining and educational enough to keep you sticking around. As you can see, it's all kind of boring and just green. But it's like the final level, so you get the James Bond theme song picking up. But now in the GBA, it's not just black and white. I was wrong. It actually has some color to it. It's a bit weird looking, honestly. Metroid 2. Like I've said before, this was my first Game Boy game, and like the first Game Boy game that I beat, I think. That might have actually been Pokemon. I remember thinking like, oh, I might be disappointed. No, can't believe I actually beat that before I beat Metroid 2, my first Game Boy game. And then I decided, okay, time to stop pussying out. I'm gonna go back and try and beat it finally. And I did, and I uploaded it to YouTube. But don't take my word for it. I might have actually beat this first. So right off the bat, you've probably noticed by now, it's actually bringing up the Nintendo logo when we play it on the Game Boy, but it's bringing up the Game Boy logo when we play it on the Game Boy Advance. And I can't really think of a good reason for that, but, nah. Like you can see, it's all just green and stuff now. No colors, just green. But when you play it on the Game Boy Advance, you get to play it in color. Apparently, from what I've heard, they programmed a custom color palette for this game into the Game Boy Color. I'm not sure if it still applies to the Game Boy Advance, but I'm imagining it does the exact same thing, so... I mean, this is what I seem to remember seeing when someone mentioned that and then showed footage from the Game Boy Color, so I'm going to imagine this is just what happens when you play it on the Game Boy Color, too. So, it looks a lot better. You can see... Oh god, the space jump. It's a pain in the ass, but this is a pretty decent game, at least for the Game Boy. Here we have Pokemon Red, and we're about halfway through now, so I get to show you how little of a difference it made for me, honestly, playing it on the Game Boy compared to the Game Boy Advance. Pokemon Silver, in my opinion, is a much more jarring difference. And after this, I actually get to show you what's on my shelf. Yes, this one is very different. So you can see it's not very graphically impressive. It's just all green. Dialogue box fits in well with the background. For the time, it was pretty impressive, but now it's really not much. But when you show it on the Game Boy Advance, it's basically the same thing. I mean, just look at this. I'm just kind of green now. That's the only difference I can really notice. Everything else is still kind of just black and white, except more like red and white, and some of the Pokemon have colors. But that's all I can figure out from this. And the text boxes are white and black, which is a nice difference, honestly. You wouldn't think it would make much of a difference, but I think it looks a bit better like that, instead of it blending in with the backgrounds. Pokemon Silver, I think, is a different case to Pokemon Red. In fact, if you play on the Game Boy Advance, it actually has a day-night cycle that you can see a very clear difference in. Not to mention, I feel like they put a lot more effort into it. I mean, did you see that? There was originally an intro sequence there, too, that was pretty damn different. I recently dropped off some Pikachu there. I was trying to catch all the Pokemon I could. Right now you can see this is a lot like Pokemon Red. Now the graphics are pretty drab, characters pretty basic. But then when we put it in the Game Boy Advance, everything looks a bit more detailed. I mean, look, would you ever guess that was water? That's very clearly a police officer because they're wearing blue. Everyone looks different. These paths textured differently. They're all differently colored. It all looks like a cohesive world as opposed to Funland like it did in Pokemon Red and like it did on the original Game Boy. And even then on the original Game Boy it does feel a fair bit different from Pokemon Red. Because it's just... well, Gen 2 isn't extremely different from the first one, and honestly it feels more like a DLC. It's just... it doesn't feel like it adds a lot besides for Pokemon and a better story, I'd say. And being more graphically impressive, not to mention technically impressive. You see, they actually have the entirety of the Gen 1 game's map in here. So, if I wanted to, I could go all the way back to Kanto, or I could just stay in Johto. Except for, like, the final gyms and stuff. If you want to get the last gym badges, then you need to go back there, but you understand the point. This is pretty impressive for a Game Boy game, and it's all thanks to one programmer, who I forgot the name of. Yeah, I got it. It was Satoru Iwata. And all thanks to him, they managed to fit Kanto in here. With some special compressing technique. I didn't really look into it much. I remember I saw a few videos on it. He was a good dude. I mean, you gotta be impressed with that, honestly. That is some dedication to a craft. The sort of dedication I don't know if I'd ever have. But it's a pretty good game, and he was a very good programmer. Tetris and Tetris 2 I'm putting together, and I'm not actually going to show them because they're basically the same thing on both consoles. I mean, we've all seen Tetris, and Tetris 2 is basically if Dr. Mario had a child with Tetris. So, it's probably just not even worth it to show what's in Tetris 2. You can look it up if you want. It's not impressive. It's honestly not very fun. It takes the elements of Tetris and Dr. Mario, and I have to say it's worse than both of them. Tetris, you want to play Tetris? Just play Tetris. Don't play Tetris 2. Fucking Tetris is the winner of that competition, and Dr. Mario wins against Tetris, in my opinion anyways. As for Metroid and Astro Boy Omega Factor, I'm also not going to show them being played on the Game Boy Advance, because that's really the only console they play on besides the DS Lite and Game Boy Advance SP, if you count them as different things, not to mention the original DS. It's just I've only ever really played it on the DS Lite. I didn't play either of these on the Game Boy Advance, at least not to completion. I did give them both their tries on it, but that's about that. Overall, I have to say, I think the Game Boy Advance is a better system than the original Game Boy. Really, it just melts into your hand, whereas this, it's some big great brick. It's kind of jarring to use after you've already used this for a while. Everything is just perfect. I didn't really expect the buttons to be so clicky up there. These are all kind of mushy and soft, which I prefer to clickier buttons, which is why most of the time I'll actually play games on my DS Lite instead of my DSi, and because I don't have a charger for my DSi anymore, I lost it, and then when my brother left, which is why the room is so different now, I live in my own room now. Everything is much clearer, a lot more space, and there's the case for the camera that I'm using right now. And I got a job, and everything's just cleared up now. There's a lot of space on the floor. I put some stuff under my bed. You can see I got some more games. I might go back over that. You can see the shelf where I actually put some stuff back, but I have something with my name on it on that shelf right now, so let me just get back to that after. You can see I got some more DS games, as well as some more Xbox games, which a few I had to make my own labels. But we'll get to that if I do, a showing of all my DS games, which might be a bit of, a pointless thing to do now that I'm showing you them. And the Xbox One games, you can see I got more of those. I got more Wii games, I got more Xbox 360 games. Just collection increases all around, even some of the NES games. I got some more of those. I think I got one or two more SNES games since the last time I showed what I had. And I made some of these. And that is the Sprite from GTA with a car and a cop, and then James Bond, Red, Gold, and a Tetrad. And then you can just see I have a statue of Groudon, even though I've never actually played Pokemon Ruby or Sapphire. And funnily enough, I got that from my cousin. I got Astro Boy from my cousin, and I got that Charmander from my cousin. And that Game Boy Advance was from my grandma, who has a house that my cousin used to live in, but then they moved out. But that's about all I have to show. Um, Apparently someone unsubscribed, I think. I can't blame them. Like I said before, I'm gonna try to go back to weekly content, but there's not a lot of content to make. I'm trying. I have a lot more games now, so I guess I could take a shot at game reviews, but they're pretty overdone on this platform. When you make something like a YouTube channel or a TV show, you usually try to find some sort of blank space, and then you try and fill it. A blank space of content, I guess I should specify. Back in the early days of YouTube, gaming channels, well, were very popular, and they made a lot of money, kind of. Depends on what early days you're talking about, because you couldn't always monetize videos. Granted, I'm not so sure I was even alive for that. Well, that would be the very, very early days of YouTube if I wasn't alive for it. It's like 2005, when it was still owned by the original creators, I guess. and then Google bought them out not too long after. I don't know, it's all kind of a blur. I just remember mostly early 2010s, YouTube, especially Smosh, and then it's like I've been trapped in the year 2014 for a long time. I've fallen behind, as you can see. I don't have very many Xbox One games. I stick to like 360, DS, even NES, Game Boy. I have not been playing a lot of games, and my friends kind of scold me for it. I guess you could say it's not like they're trying to be mean, they just want me to buy more recent games so they can actually play them with me. They aren't gonna go back and buy an Xbox 360 and buy some Xbox 360 games and then get Xbox Live just to play the games with me. The only games that we really play together are Destiny 2 and I'm gonna get Red Dead 2 soon. And hell, I don't even have a Switch yet, which I've got to do because the new Metroid looks pretty cool. I was gonna pre-order it and then I realized, maybe I shouldn't do that. That's kind of a waste of money, even though I do have a job now, and that's kind of been eating up some of my free time, which is another one of the reasons I haven't been uploading very often. And for those of you who are still around, thank you. It's not easy to figure out what people want from your channel, and I don't have a niche to fill. Just game content, and even though it's not really playing video games, it's just kind of showing that I own them. So I'm not sure why anyone sticks around, but I guess I'm thanking them for doing so. There's not much to do on YouTube that hasn't been filled up. You've got the review channels, you've got the channels that play games, you got the channels that create games. Those are cool. I like some of those. What was one of them, like Code Bullet? I don't remember his name. I think he had like a TV screen face like one of Pyrocynical's early designs. Or, well, he kind of still uses it, I guess. Especially some of the fans in their fan art. But then there's the other guy who made the Mario first-person shooter. Honestly, I find it easier sometimes to just make videos where I'm talking about things that I remember or that I care about. And that's why I started making videos about video games. Because video games became my life for a long time, after not being in my life at all for a very long time. I used to not play video games at all. I owned like 13 video games for the longest time, and a lot of them were for the Wii. And then my brother kind of gave me his Xbox 360, which I do own now. After he left, I got his Xbox 360, I got his Xbox One, I got whatever he left behind. I got just a lot of stuff, which is when I started thinking, I could buy more Xbox 360 games if I wanted to. Hell, did I mention that my brother left before? I think I might have, but that was when my room was still a bit of a mess. I have a lot more space to work with, since I ended up just moving things all around. The area I'm pointing at right now, in fact, that's where my bed used to be. My bed used to be over here, and now it's by the window. And you can see some of my work clothes there. And you can see I have my TV over there. The radio from the 1950s is over there, along with the Dalek. You can see Vault Boy's head poking out over there. Xbox 360, SNES, the Xbox One, Xbox 360 controller and junk. You can see the Deathclaw over there. And some bottles of root beer, some old radio, some hats. But I'm happy just making content like this for the channel. I don't know if you're really enjoying it, but if you are, I guess I'll keep making it. That's all for now.